D'Addario coiled instrument cables produce a warm, classic tone. Thanks to its 30-foot length, you get a higher capacitance cable in a springy, flexible package. Vintage sound and vintage style, all coiled up in one.
Hey, this is John Bolger with Premier Guitar. I'm with Josh Smith. We are at Nassau, right?
Yeah, yes, we are.
Yeah, pretty in international waters right now.
That's right.
I think our first official international run,
there
at
we
least
go.
mine.
Nice.
Man, you sound killer. I know you. I've seen you a lot as a telly guy with, I think, this very telly, right?
Yeah, it's been this one for almost 15 years straight, this guitar.
High miles on that thing.
And if you've seen me in those last 15 years, 98% of the time, it's probably with this guitar.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know your way around that thing.
Thanks, man.
Let's hear the whole crazy story.
Yeah, so this is made by Bill Chapin. He's from Portland, Oregon. And it's the second guitar he ever built for me.
Wow.
And growing up, I was a Strat guy most of my life.
Sure.
And until I got this guitar, it kind of made me realize I was a telly guy in denial the whole time.
Right.
And this guitar, when I met Bill, he's one of those, we all know these luthiers who are like, crazy geniuses.
Yeah, yeah.
And the first conversation with him was that way. Like, I knew he knew what I was talking about, and he would build me something special. Yeah. And he said to me that day, the second guitar I ever build for you will be the guitar. And I'm like, okay, whatever. So he built me a Strat first.
Yeah.
And then I quickly had this tour coming up with Taylor Hicks, who won American Idol, back when I was still doing more sideman work.
Yeah.
And I needed a telly. I had sold the last one I had. And I told him, hey, can you throw together a telly for me quick? And he said, well, to make it fast, it's got to be a solid color, blah, blah, blah. I said, just spray it black. So he sprayed it this thin one coat of black, put it together very quickly. And yeah, he was right. Second guitar I ever built for me has been the #1 since the day I got it.
That's great. So, looks like big frets, right?
They're StewMac number 154s, which I like because they're kind of in between 6105s and 6150s.
Yeah.
They're tall, but not quite as wide. And I like them really crowned up to a point, so it's almost time for these to go. This guitar's been refretted probably 7 times in 15 years.
Wow.
That's mostly because of the strings.
Yeah, they look like heavy wires.
Yeah,
man.
they're 13 to 58.
Oh.
Yeah.
Are you in
standard pitch?
In standard. Oh, God.
I've been using that gauge since I'm 15 years old.
Dude, that is a lot of work. That is a lot.
That's part of the reason I like it, actually, is it makes you kind of like not phone it in on a gig. If you're not in the mood, it puts you in the mood real quick. You know what I mean? Yeah, so I like that aspect. And the tone and the stability doesn't hurt as well.
Well, it just sounds killer. What other ingredients?
Okay, so basically it's a 50 style telly, so one piece ash body, one maple neck. This is a Lawler in the neck. It's a model he doesn't make anymore. I think it used to be called the Classic 15 years ago. Now it's maybe called the Vintage or something. I don't know. And this was wound by Bill, who made the guitar.
Oh, cool.
And it's kind of that mad scientist thing I was saying before. He'll wind a pickup if he doesn't think something off the shelf will give him what he wants. And he kind of knew from hearing me play that first guitar what would work with my strings and with my picking and all that. And so this is a mixture of magnets too. It's Alnico 2, 3, and 5.
Oh, wow.
Flat pole. And yeah, it just works really great. And these are titanium saddles, which also help with the strings. They've lasted a lot longer than brass would have. And other than that, it's really, really a straight telly. It's a 9.5-inch radius.
Okay.
But yeah, other than that, it's pretty straight up 50 style Telecaster.
Very cool. Yeah, that is fabulous. Okay, now this is the one you're #1, and then #2 over there.
Yeah. So this Strat, my dream guitar growing up was a 57 Strat. Always was my dream.
Yeah.
I like the V-necks.
Sure.
I like the mixture of the alder body with the maple neck. And there was one that got away.
Yeah.
And I've told the story a few times. It was at Chicago Music Exchange. It sat there for 2 years, and at the time, the vintage market was up here,
Whoa, right.
40 grand. You know, it was a
Right.
completely stock. You know, that's out of the realm of the working musician's
Sure.
pocketbook. So I kept tabs on it, but then it sold. Anyways, I was going through some stuff, and my friend Ron Ellis, a great pickup maker, as a gift, commissioned Mark Rudders, this guy who makes guitars in San Diego and hardware, to build this guitar because Ron had a 57 in his shop at the time that was really great, and they copied it. So ignore this. It was built by my friend Mark Rudders, and it's a 57 Strat style guitar with Ron Ellis pickups.
Oh, very
and it's
cool.
definitely my favorite Strat without question. Yeah.
Oh, great, great.
Yeah.
Well, but so do you switch per song or say break a string?
No. The last 10 years, I was so like only this guitar.
Right.
And now I'm open. Sometimes I'll bring a Les Paul, sometimes I'll bring a few. And having the Strat again is making me play differently in certain ways.
That's
So I
it,
like
man.
having it for this song, that song. And that's the weird thing about when I bring a Strat or a Les Paul or a 335, they make me think about so much stuff. It's like when I pick up a Strat, I can't help but think about, you know, Stevie Ray and Hendrix and Ronnie Earl and all my heroes that play Stratocasters. When I pick up a 335, my first thought is B.B. King or Larry Carlton, you know? When I pick up a Les Paul, I'm thinking about certain things. When I play this guitar, there's no thinking involved. Yeah. So I always feel more like me on this guitar.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh, that's interesting. You know, you wonder, is it the tone of the instrument that's influencing that sound, or are there certain sounds that just come out of guitars, and like Larry Carlton sounds like that because of his 335?
I think it's partially both. I mean, it's the influences. I can't help but erase those.
Right,
you know, we've been listening to them our whole lives, so it's like. But then also, just that tone comes out when I have a tube screamery type pedal on here that I don't love tube screamers anymore. But with a Strat, I have to. With that neck pickup tube screamer thing, it's just that sound, you know? And it makes me play a different way. I feel like a 13-year-old listening to Stevie Ray Vaughan in my bedroom, you know? And
totally.
so I like sometimes the guitars put me in that different headspace, but when I really want to be me, I will play this guitar.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay, now is this backline amps today?
These are backline amps.
Okay, so right now you've got a Super and an AC30. But what do you normally run with
I
your
use
rig?
Morgan amplifiers.
Okay.
Joe Morgan, who used to be in California, and he moved to Nashville now. I've been using them almost 10 years.
Oh, wow.
He has a small Josh Smith amp that he sells that's like a Princeton reverb called the JS12.
Oh, cool.
But my big amp is the JS40. It's like a super reverb. And I use that together with his AC40, like a Vox. So this is an approximation of my main rig. I love Blackface Fender and Vox together.
Hey, and let's talk about this pedal board. This is a really unusual lineup, man. Yeah, okay.
So the board itself is the coolest part. It's this company from Germany called Schmidt Array.
It looks kind of German, doesn't it?
It's very engineered.
Yeah.
Very German engineering.
Yeah.
What's funny is the guy is a British guy who moved to Germany. His name is Smith, like me, but he changed the company to Schmidt so it would sound German because he wanted that same reaction you just gave.
That's great.
Anyways, he came to a show. I was on tour in Germany and brought a board slightly larger than this, which actually Travis, our bass player, has. And I saw it and was just blown away because it's two-tiered. There's stuff underneath that top tier, and it's small enough to carry on the plane like nothing, you know?
Right.
So I used that one for going on 3 years, and then he came out with this little teeny one, and it was almost a challenge of how much could I squeeze into this little board.
God,
and it's so great. I mean, I just put the lid on it, pick it up, carry it through. It looks like a typewriter.
Yeah.
Sometimes people say George Foreman grill because it's got an aluminum cover.
And I love that crazy handle. That is just so cool.
I always want to get the handcuffs and handcuff myself to it like I'm walking through the airport with the football, the nuclear football. Yeah.
That's perfect. Okay, so let's start from your whole signal flow. How do you go in and
so on this board, normally I have the wah in the middle of pedals, but it's always off the board. But on this board, because it's so compact, my options were a little more limited, so I just plugged the wah in front.
And that's just what Crybaby is?
This is the reissue Clyde McCoy Crybaby.
Okay.
It's a really good one. This is what it sounds like. Yeah, I like a wah that can still do shaft and do funk. Like the trend now is to get these wahs that are only great for soloing.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, I need the funk.
Right. Yeah, that's so great, man.
And normally I like to have it after some dirts, like after the fuzzes, but before overdrive, so I can get the Hendrix thing or the Stevie thing,
Yeah.
but on this board it's just in the front because of size.
Yeah, sounds fabulous. Okay.
So it goes from there into the board, which has the little interface on the back of the board, and then it goes to a looper that's inside. I have a little Morningstar 5-loop true bypass thing that's controlled with this Morningstar MIDI controller.
Right.
And I'm a major proponent of the looping system, not just for ease of programming, things like that, but also for the tonal purity. I like when no pedals are on to really be like it's plugged straight into the amp.
Right.
I'm not a big buffer fan. I just like, my whole rig is, and the strings and the guitars, everything is designed around like eliminating compression because I want maximum dynamics in my sound. I want to do it with ease,
That's great.
So that's part of it.
Which is totally opposite the trend of modern recording.
Yeah.
That just smashes everything.
Well, yeah, I want to have all the range available to me
Right.
so I can choose what to do with it.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean? So you'll see as we go through this, most of the pedals are literally picked for those reasons to conform to that, idea. So anyways, we go into the looper, and then the first loop is this Mythos Argonaut, which is a clean octave pedal. Now, I used to use a pedal called the Love Pedal Believe. I still have it on other boards. This is similar to that, like the old Dan Armstrong Green Ringer with no knobs or anything. One of those ones you used to plug in right on the
one of
jack.
those, yeah,
So it's
right.
really a ring modulation, but it sounds like an Octavia without the fuzz. So here's what it sounds like. Right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So I like this compared to an Octavia because, number one, you can play bridge pickup and it doesn't take your head off. You can play down the neck. You can almost chord. Octavia is so finicky. You got to
Right.
play strat, neck pickup above the 10th fret. This lets me do these other different things with it, and then I can combine it with other pedals when I want to get the Octavia sound.
Yeah.
So that's
what a cool sound.
Yeah, it's really
hard to
great.
identify. Like, it's hard to say what that is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but like if I stack it, for instance, the next pedal is my fuzz. So if I hit it with that, it'll be much more Octavia. But if I hit it with the Chula, which is my main pedal, then it gets its own thing. Yeah, so I like it because I can combine it.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's talk about your fuzz and that other drive.
Okay.
That you just went through.
Well, let's go.
Well, actually, yeah, we're skipping around. So after that pedal, where do you hit next?
Next goes the Fuzz,
Okay.
which is the pedal I designed in collaboration with Vemoram from Japan. It's called the Myriad Fuzz, and it's germanium and silicon in one pedal. You can bias the silicon on the the germanium on the outside, and then you can lean it towards the germanium or the silicon. And it also has extreme amount of volume so that it remains dynamic. You know what I mean? Because a lot of fuzzes, when you turn them on, fuzz face inspired pedals, sound quiet.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get them to cut in a band
Right.
situation. So this pedal was designed for the live musician. It's really versatile and really loud, as you heard when I just turned it on. Yeah.
Yeah, there was no missing that.
But it cleans up still. But if I turn up,
That is killer, man. Okay.
yeah, like I said, everything on here is really, selfishly made to work for me, and that those constraints of having a lot of headroom and getting rid of the compression and keeping the dynamics.
Yeah, that's great. Particularly in a three-piece like this,
Yeah.
you really have a great canvas to do what you want.
Well, yeah, and we move around a lot. Of,
Yeah.
Obviously, you see, I like a lot of styles of music,
Yeah,
and while it's all blues based, I
Yeah.
like everything. So, I always just want to be able to go where I want to go without something getting in my way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool,
So
okay.
that's the Fuzz. Then it hits the Love Pedal Chula, which is this white pedal here. And just like this guitar, if you've seen me in the last 15 years, it's been 99% that pedal.
Okay.
That is my sound. And again, it's so simple. The first side has no knob. You just turn it on. And so here's direct. And here's the first side of the Chula. if I lighten up my tack, you know, it's almost like it's not there. But if I dig in, it's just a really dynamic pedal. It's also dependent on amps with some headroom.
Sure.
You know, if you plug it in your bedroom in a really small amp, it'll sound bright and not like it has any gain at all. You know, so
do you find yourself leaving that on for the most part?
98% of the time.
Okay, cool.
But that's also another reason that the fuzz is so loud, because when I would turn it off to go to the fuzz, I was finding every fuzz wasn't as loud as the Chula, because the Chula
Right.
has such a loud boost, and I needed something that kept up, really.
Right, right. Okay, cool.
And then the second side of it is basically just giving you a knob instead of preset. So I set it to be a slight boost. It's really switching to another one. So when I switch over, it's just a little more. But it's actually a bias knob. You're biasing the transistor hotter or colder.
Cool, cool. Okay, and what's after that?
After that is the Duelist. It's actually called the Soloist. It's half of the King Tone Duelist pedal. It's underneath the deck. And if you want to hear that, we should change to the Strat.
Yeah, by all means. Yeah, love it. Okay, so we're in Strat land.
We're in Strat land, so now we're going to turn on what's called the Soloist. It's half of Jesse Davey from King Tone's Duelist pedal, which has a Tube Screamer side and a Blues Breaker side. But I found I was always using only the Tube Screamer side.
Yeah.
It's the best Tube Screamery pedal I've ever heard, without question.
Okay.
And so here's straight in with the Strat. And here's the Duelist. Just kind of has that sound, right?
The Strat was a good idea. That is so SRV, man.
It puts you right in that.
And you would have to be so prohibitively loud to get that sound any other way.
Normally I'm way louder than that, but you cannot get that sound without the air.
No,
You need to be pushing air. And the strings, and it all adds up to that. I mean, when people ask you, oh, how can I get that Stevie Ray Vaughan sound, you know, with a Hot Rod DeVille or a Prince, it's like you cannot, you know. You can approximate that sound, but the air is more than half of the battle.
Yeah, well, man, that was dead. I mean, you're a great player, but you just nailed it there, man.
Thanks.
Okay, well, what's next?
From there, it goes to the TC Flashback Mini.
Sure.
Which is my main slapback delay.
Yeah, great. Let's hear that thing.
I have a tone print that I did for them that has two different slaps, and this is the main one. It's barely there. But like with the Chula and the slap, that's pretty much.
Cool. It pops a little more with that Chula on.
Yeah,
you hear a little bit more.
Yeah, when I have the other pedals, it's a very slight slap.
Yeah.
You know, it's really just a little ambience. Give me some
And
vibe.
you're running the Verb on the super,
Verb is from
pretty.
the Super,
yeah, pretty hot.
So, and that's part of the reason I love the two amps. One has the Verb built in, one is dry. And the same thing, the Blackface with the Vox, they stack together in a special way.
Right.
Where, you know, this is scooped mid-range, and this has that broken glass thing. I run the Vox a little slightly dirty.
Yeah.
And when you turn a pedal on in front of two amps completely different like that, it makes things so wide.
And they react so differently.
So different.
It's funny how like some overdrives might really push one amp and not the other one.
Yeah, and it just makes, you know, it just makes things more exciting. It's not always about volume to use two amps.
Yeah.
It's about like heft.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. All right, so what's next?
From there, it goes to this Specular Tempest, which I use as like my long delay if I just need, you know, a longer delay. I program that sound to be kind of like, I like the Echo Rec a lot. I have that on most of my pedal boards, and this is just an extra delay. That pedal does a lot more, and it's new to me, so I haven't dove in 100% yet. Yeah, and it's the same thing. I like the delay subtle, where it doesn't come out unless I'm grinding.
Josh, that is killer, man.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, so good. Okay, love it. What's next?
From there, it goes lastly to the Eventide H9, which has completely been indispensable for me since the day it came out.
Okay, so are you getting, I know that these have so much in them, but most players find like a few cool things.
Well, it depends. For my thing, yes, there's a few things that I use.
Yeah.
But when I do sessions, which is a lot,
yeah,
it's the most important pedal I have because it does everything. Not only that, everything it does sounds good, and it's incredibly easy to control. You can have your phone, your iPad, you can have it on your music stand, so there's no bending down or turning around to my rack. It's all right there. Easy. So if a producer says to me, I need that Andy Summers flange thing, I got it.
You're like, wait a minute.
I mean? Yeah, and it's not a lot of hassle to get to it either.
But in the heat of battle on stage,
in the heat of battle
you got
on
your
stage,
couple sounds.
I've got my thing, and the main thing I use it for is my Leslie sound.
Well, which is killer, dude. Yeah.
Now that's a sound that I programmed pretty in depth.
Yeah.
And jumped in.
Can you control the speed of that?
I can, yeah. I don't do it so much with this board. With my bigger board, I have a bigger MIDI controller, and I have fast and slow and stop and all that stuff. But this is a preset people literally email me almost daily asking me to give them.
Yeah, that's great, man.
But I use reverbs, delays, choruses, you know, all sorts of stuff from it. Yeah, it's a Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, that's great. And so every pedal literally is run through the looper.
Well, the loop thing in here, again, size. So this only had 5 loops, and they're all mono. So all the drives up until the TC are in the loops.
Okay.
And then the H9 and the Specular Tempest are after it, so that I can come out of those in stereo to the 2 amps.
Okay, so the Morningstar loop runs all that other jazz into those final 2, and those 2 are out of the loop.
Yep.
Quiet, man.
Yeah, and I can bypass the H9 via MIDI.
Yeah.
This one I can do it with this one too, but I wanted to keep six buttons, 6 for each main pedal. You know, I can set it up however I want, but that's the way I have it.
The economy of it all is just amazing. Yeah. That's great. What cables are you using?
I use these sinusoid cables from Seattle.
Okay.
They're tremendous. They call this model the Slate, and you know, they're just. I like very flat, balanced cables. I don't want height.
Yeah.
You know, the trend with all these expensive cables, which are some of them are really great.
Yeah.
But you plug them in, and at first you think it's, oh my God, look what I've been missing.
Yeah.
All this high end comes back, but it can be a trick a little bit.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's pushing your signal through with no capacitance at all.
Yeah.
And it's not the most natural thing, I don't think.
It's not like the records we hear growing up.
That too, you know? I'm just looking for, in everything, like I said, to retain my dynamics and have a balanced, flat tone, you know, so that, again, whatever I use, you're hearing the best of that. You know? Nothing gets in the way.
What picks do you use?
I use these gravity picks, so they're acrylic.
Yeah.
They're like the Fender Heavy shape, 1.1 millimeter Fender Heavy.
And you use your fingers quite a bit as well.
I hybrid pick everything.
Yeah.
You know, so it's always picking fingers.
Yeah. Yeah, and strings. What? We heard the gauge, but what?
Yeah, they're made by Gabriel Tenorio in Los Angeles. It's called the Gabriel Tenorio String Company, GTS. He's an amazing one-man shop, and he winds every string by hand.
Really?
And he's obsessive about things like string tension. So he'll really mess around with what the wrap is versus what the core is.
Wow.
These are also pure nickel. Which I really, really prefer the sound of pure nickel. They don't last quite as long.
How long do they last you?
Well, I'm the guy that likes new strings. So like on the telly, I'll change every gig. Yeah. So if I have these 2 guitars, I'll change 1 per night. I'll rotate, you know what I mean? But the pure nickel makes such a big difference with the magnets. And you got to think, again, like you were saying, every record we heard growing up, those guys were using pure nickel strings with their pick. I mean, they react better magnetically than stainless steel strings.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. And it looks like these are the same frets as your other one.
They are, StewMac one. I have that on every guitar. Yeah. I really find that they split the difference where there's comfortable on a Gibson, on a Fender, whatever, they work for me.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool. Well, Josh, man, loved hearing you play, dude.
Thank
You're
you,
just slaying it.
I appreciate it.
So thanks for joining us, and till next time.